Hey everyone, it's Dr. Romani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel where I talk about all kinds of issues related to narcissism, antagonism, and narcissistic relationships and people. So let's talk about this question. Do trauma-bonded relationships always require a narcissist to be in them? Drop your answer in the comments and let's break this one down. We often view this certain synonymous quality. If it's a trauma-bonded relationship, you must be with a narcissist. Not so fast. People can have trauma-bonded relationships with people who are not narcissistic. Trauma-bonded relationships are not predicated. They're not defined by a person who has a narcissistic or an antagonistic personality style being in the relationship. Trauma-bonded relationships are typically an extension of developmental, social, and relational development. Early environments characterized by chaos and disruption and invalidation and inconsistency and sort of a disavowal of us as people. In those circumstances, love and connection and relationships become conflated with chaos, so it gets really messy. It becomes a little bit about the primary relational dynamic becomes a little bit about chasing the good days, because that's a key element of trauma-bonded spaces. This idea they aren't always that bad, and those good days fuel a person with hope. And the trauma-bonded individual internalizes that hope and thinks, okay, whatever I did this day, whatever this day was about, I need to make this happen. I need these conditions to happen again. So for a child who feels that way, a child may try 100 different strategies. Be good, be bad, be nice, be neat, be good in school, be good in sport, cater to the parents' needs, listen to the parents' problems, validate the parent, be more interested in the parent than the parent is in me, whatever it may be. Or it may even be more interested in the parent to the detriment of the child, who may literally just turn into a chameleon and shapeshift to become whatever the parent wants to earn their validation. The hope for the child is to keep those good days coming, and when they don't, the child blames themselves and assumes they need to be better and try harder or are not enough. So this fractured foundation is what the child takes into adult relationships and replicates these cycles. Thus, the paradox of the trauma-bonded person or the person prone to trauma-bonded relationships is that they come up into adulthood and may even claim to not feel connections or be sort of bored in relationships that are not characterized by chaos and inconsistency, and when they have to earn their love. Now, obviously, a narcissistic person is a perfect foil for a trauma-bonded relationship because it may be a replication of an invalidating or an antagonistic parent. But trauma bonds can originate in families where a parent may be distracted because of substance or alcohol use, unexpected losses, distraction by other family members, which takes all focus away from other children in the home. Now, antagonism tends to be the primary reason for these patterns, but there are others. So in adulthood, the issue becomes that a person gets stuck in relationships, perhaps with other people who have experienced these kinds of issues too, and who may not be antagonistic, but the relationship may still run hot and cold and have lots of ups and downs, and may even be a relationship where people create conflict for conflict's sake. That sort of conflation, that mashup of conflict and love, of chasing the high, that doesn't always have to be with a narcissistic person. Growing up with conditional love, where you felt love had to be earned, where you had to be useful or noticed by others, or feel as though you had to bring something to the table, it's a terrible precedent and something that can underlie narcissistic relationships. It can mean a lifetime of believing love has to be earned and not something that all of us deserve. just by being a living being. And that sets up a problematic model where if we aren't earning it, then maybe it's not love. That puts people at risk. Let's say they meet a kind, loving person who just likes and loves them for them. They may not think that it is love because they aren't having to earn it. And moving away from that to a relationship where it is more of them feeling that they need to win that other person over is the risk. To move from a place where the love is unconditional to a place where it's conditional. Now, while so much of the conversation about trauma bonding can coalesce around narcissistic relationships, it's not the only way they play out. And that is important to note, especially if you are leaving one of these relationships. And as you heal, say, you know what, I want to give love and relationships a chance again. The risk is that you may meet someone who isn't grandiose or isn't validation seeking or charming or charismatic. But you may find yourself in those old cycles of having to win someone over, making your needs secondary, living on hope, and justifying uncomfortable behavior. The trauma bond is a trauma bond. Don't let your focus on simply avoiding another narcissistic or antagonistic person mean that you miss these other kinds of red flags. Hope that's helpful. The trauma bond is a lot more complex than we actually realize. Thanks again.